Midfielder Ederson says his move to Manchester United is almost complete. United have agreed a deal worth almost £38 million with Atalanta for the 26-year-old.
Adesso io devo aspettare questo momento, devo sfruttare soprattutto e poi vediamo. Sicuramente è quasi tutto praticamente fatto, però devo sfruttare questo momento. Sono qua, è una cosa bellissima che si deve godere sempre al massimo.
Inter Miami are close to finalising their deal to sign Casemiro. Casemiro is a free agent after his contract at Manchester United came to an end. Inter Miami and Casemiro's representatives are now completing the paperwork, ready to be signed and then sent to MLS for his registration. This is increasingly likely to be completed over the weekend.
Against Haiti, that everything is done with Manchester United. I can tell you that Ederson already made a first part of medical test with Manchester United. I told you 2 weeks ago, and let me confirm. Ederson already passed his medical with Man United. Then Man United will announce everything at the right time with a Man United shirt in his hands from Atalanta, €45 million package.
Real Madrid have taken the extraordinary step of releasing a statement to deny media reports they've contacted Michael Olise about a move away from Bayern Munich. Olise, who is currently impressing at the World Cup for France, had been linked with a move to Real Madrid, with some reports claiming contact had been made with the player and his representatives. But any such dealing has been denied by the Spanish giants. Well, Real Madrid released this statement in light of the information published in various media outlets regarding an alleged interest of our club and Bayern Munich player Michael Olise. Real Madrid wishes to clarify that it has not had any direct or indirect contact with the aforementioned footballer, his representatives or individuals in his circle. Real Madrid also wishes to highlight the excellent institutional relationship it maintains with Bayern Munich, with whom it shares a long history of mutual respect, collaboration and admiration, and regrets speculation that does not correspond with reality.
I still think that there's no smoke without fire. OK, I think we can be pretty certain that Olise will not be moving to Real Madrid this summer, but I think it's pretty evident that Real Madrid are interested in him long term. And don't forget, a couple of years ago, I think they released a statement saying they weren't interested in Kylian Mbappe. And guess what? He plays for Real Madrid now. So I would rule it out in the short term, but definitely long term, it could be a story that does have legs. Although having said that, in the short term, who knows, we'll probably see Olise signing a new contract at Bayern Munich, because at the moment he's not one of their top earners, but his performances suggest that he should be.
To England, and Dan Burn believes they have the squad depth needed to play with the intensity of a Premier League team. Marcus Rashford, Morgan Rogers, Bukayo Saka and Jed Spence all came off the bench in the 4-2 win over Croatia. And Burn thinks the quality throughout the squad means England can go deep into the tournament.
It's hard for us to judge in the whole competition. I think there's some very, very good squads out there, but from just in England, you can see just the way that we can change sort of maybe the front 4 or 5 players, and we've still got top quality players all over the pitch, especially the way we want to play. I'm sure the gaffer's made a thing about, especially the other day, wanted to play like a Premier League team and bring that intensity of the game, and I think you saw bringing B and Rashi on and Morgan Rogers, how effective that can be, so it can only be a positive.
You mentioned the manager wants England to look like a Premier League team. I'm curious about what is he telling you in terms of making this happen? What is he doing to make this happen? Yeah,
I think just the intensity that he wants to play with, sort of the ball speed. Obviously, I've not played in other leagues around the world, so it's hard for me to compare, but I think sort of typically we do play quite a fast sort of attacking way in England, and I feel like that's probably the playing to our strengths also. We've got a lot of speed at the top end of the pitch, and probably one of the best strikers in the world, definitely at the moment. So the more that we can get the ball forward to those players, the better.
I think it's going to be possible to keep that intensity, that front foot football for long periods like you did in the last game, or do you think you're going to need to adapt?
It'll be interesting. Listen, I think that's what we would like to do. I think the majority of the players in England are Premier League players, and I feel like the intensity of that league probably suits how we play also. So I think not knowing what the manager thinks, but I feel like that's how we would go about it, and then you've just got to adapt to it. I feel like we're prepared as possible. We've had the pre-camp in West Palm, and then we're playing in heat here all the time, so I'm hoping it'll not be a major factor, but I feel like until you're in Boston and it kicks off and we're seeing how it goes, I think that'll probably be the first sort of test, knowing whether we can really kick on and do what we want to do for that full 90 minutes. But as I said, we've got players who can come on now. You've got 5 subs that you can make who can hopefully keep that intensity high when it starts to dip as well.
Thomas Tuchel has drawn plenty of praise for his half-time team talk and bold substitutions. Bird admits the England head coach has a real aura.
He's got this, like, you can really hold a room when he speaks. I feel like everyone listens, and he does sort of lead a room well. So I feel like he's got that both sides to him, where you can go to the baseball last night and throw a first pitch and you can sit and chat to him. But, you know, when it comes to training, that you expect a certain standards from the lads. And I think we're quite good as a group anyway, really pushing those sort of standards. But if you see something he doesn't like, he calls it out. So I feel like he really has that balance well. And yeah, the half-time team talk, I know people spoke about that he must have given him a bit of a rocket, but it was the opposite really. It was more just saying, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Yeah, like if we don't win this game or whatever, it's not sort of the end of the world. But he wants to go out and perform how he knows we can do it, and you saw the reaction after half-time and how well we did. So I think that sort of speaks volumes of sort of his leadership and how he goes about it.
England's players enjoyed celebrating with the fans of full time in Dallas with a rendition of Oasis' Wonderwall being sung. Bird admits it was the best stadium experience of his career.
Yeah, no, the game, I think, like you saw first half, it was probably like a little bit of nerves. I think there is players there who've played in lots of tournaments, but there was also lads in there who that was the sort of very first World Cup, so I think you could feel that a little bit. I feel like we were trying to impose ourselves on the game, but it wasn't really until after half-time that we settled down and you saw the quality that we brought, and I think that's when you can see like how good of a team that we can be. And yeah, for Wonderwall, that was an amazing moment for me. I think even playing at that stadium, that's definitely, if not the best stadium I've ever been to and been part of. So yeah, it was a special moment at the end. I think that would be, if that's every single game, it's going to be a good tournament.
It looked quite emotional. Some of the guys were tearing up, it looked like.
Yeah, definitely. I think Harry spoke about that. That was an emotional moment for him, and I just couldn't stop smiling. I think that was like such a special moment for me, knowing that all my family were there watching and getting to experience that at the same time as me. After such a obviously good performance and big win against a good team in Croatia, I think that sort of set the stall out now, and hopefully we can kick on.
All right, England training is underway out in Kansas City, and Rob Dorset is there for us, and let's join him now. Rob, great to see you. So first of all, any injury concerns to think about?
Yeah, well, the first question we always ask is how many players are out there. I can tell you it's 25 out of the 26, and that's the first time since England have been out here in the US where a player has been absent, and the absentee is Bukayo Saka. Now, my understanding is we shouldn't read too much into that. We know he came into camp with an Achilles problem, which Arsenal were managing until for the back end of Arsenal's season. And Thomas Tuchel, who you're looking at now, he's got a different set of headwear on again. He tries a different set of headwear all the time. He's really not happy with the hat that he's been wearing. But anyway, Thomas Tuchel intimated the other day that Bukayo Saka probably wouldn't start against Ghana on Tuesday, and we reported as much to suggest that was the case. And Tuchel said then, the third game against Panama, quote, is his moment. So I think it's fair to say that the England medical staff and the England coaching team and Thomas Tuchel have always been planning for Bukayo Saka to be good to go for that final group game against Panama. And everything else they do between now and then will be managing his Achilles injury, managing the minutes, managing the workload. The physio and the work he's doing away from the games is absolutely key. And so I think England would say he's still on track to play that third game. But you have to say the fact that he is not part of this training session, he's not part of the group, is a concern. Because they've been managing that Achilles problem, and he's still been able to train. In the first 15 minutes we've seen him in the group every single time. So yeah, concerns about Bukayo Saka. The FA, I'm sure, will play it down if they were to talk to us, but they never give us too much details around player fitness and that sort of thing. And in his absence, there will be concerns. Good to see Declan Rice out there that you're looking at now, England's vice-captain, because he was taken off towards the end of that game against Croatia, having indicated to the bench that he had a bit of a problem with his lower back. He was pointing to kind of the top of his backside. And Thomas Tuchel decided to take him off as a precaution. Now, again, that's something that the Arsenal player has been managing towards the back end of Arsenal's Premier League winning campaign. He's been having injections in that back, and clearly he's not completely 100% clear of it. That's why he had that discomfort against Croatia. It was why Tuchel brought him off. But the fact he's out there training now with a big grin on his face, look, a big smile on his face, is good news for England. The other injury concern was around Marcus Rashford, and he is out there. And that's really good news for England to see him out there. He couldn't have picked a worse spot, could he? Look, behind that mannequin, right over the far side of the training pitch. But it looks like he's pretty well relaxed. Look, you can see him smiling and joking with Eberechi Eze there and Harry Kane to the side of him. But Rashford had complained of a tight hamstring right at the end of that Croatia game. And again, he's been sort of analysed and assessed by England's medics. And he's out there now training with England today, which is good news, because he made a big impact when he came in off the bench, and I suspect people will be thinking that he's maybe did enough in that 20 minutes to suggest that he might get a starting place against Ghana ahead of Anthony Gordon, but only if he's fully fit, and it may be a fitness decision about Marcus Rashford. We don't know, I should point out, whether he's going to take a full part in this training session. We don't know whether he took a full part in the training session yesterday, which was behind closed doors. We only get the first 15-minute warm-up. But on the face of it, good news about Marcus Rashford and Declan Rice. Bit of a concern over Bukayo Saka.
And Rob, what do we anticipate potentially for a shuffling of the pack against Ghana this week? You know, it was such an incredible performance in the second half against Croatia. Is Tuchel likely to change the set?
I don't think he'd want to make too many changes, but again, he's very difficult to predict, and what he considers his strongest 11 might differ from match to match and depending on who the opponents are. We've got a nice clear shot of Marcus Rashford now, which is nice to see him moving pretty freely. He doesn't seem to have any concerns about that tight hamstring that we saw at the end of the Croatia game. But I want to mention Noni Madueke, because in Bukayo Saka's absence today, it's good news for Noni Madueke. Right over on the far side, there he is, look, just emerging from there. I thought he was really impressive for England, especially in that first half against Croatia. Of course, he won the penalty, which Harry Kane scored at the second attempt. So it was Madueke who helped force England's first goal in this World Cup. And I think now, with the concerns over Bukayo Saka, there's a very strong chance that Noni Madueke will keep his starting place against Ghana. Much to happen. Remember, this is the first of 3 full training sessions for England before they play that game on Tuesday. But I think Noni Madueke can be very pleased, very proud of that debut he made for England, his first game at a World Cup. And with his Arsenal teammate and very close friend Bukayo Saka struggling a bit with that Achilles problem, probably a good chance. He'll be fancying his chances of getting another start against Ghana.
And Trevor Chalobah's a name who's been called up late to the camp. How does his arrival impact things?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. You're looking at Ezri Konsa there, but there's Trevor Chalobah. The first time we've seen him training with England out here in the US. And you wonder what's going through his mind, don't you? Because he was on holiday in the country when he got the call from his former Chelsea manager, Thomas Tuchel, to say, do you fancy coming joining up and being part of England's World Cup squad? His jaw must have hit the floor. This isn't his first training session with England. They had a closed-doors training session yesterday, and I understand that Chalobah took a full part in that. It's the first training session with England on American soil that we've seen Trevor Chalobah taking part, and he will be absolutely delighted to be here, and he's adapted pretty quickly. One of the biggest problems they had, he's just having a yawn there. Maybe he's still adjusting to the time difference. Maybe he's got a bit of jet lag. But yeah, a massive moment for him. He's only had one England